And welcome back to the Survivor PA review. I am Coach Drew, joined as always by Julia. We are talking about episode 4 of season 4 of Survivor PA, and an episode that we kind of were hoping would happen at some point. I mean, we were also expecting a swap, and it didn't happen. So we did need some change, and we got it because our underdog tribe decided to actually win a challenge for once, an immunity challenge at that. So I'm excited to talk everything about this episode. Julie, how are you doing?
Wonderful. Glad to be back talking about another episode, Survivor Pennsylvania.
And get it because we don't get much with our favorite tribe in this episode. We get the opening scene, and that's basically it. And it's Tyler talking about how Tyler apologizing for his tone at the most recent tribal, and Jabbar basically saying, "Yeah, Tyler had a tone at tribal." Now, we both sat here last week and said, "Okay, yeah, we can understand the positives and negatives about the back and forth that happened last week." What did you think about Tyler immediately doing damage control when they get back and say, "Hey, I know how it sounds, but like that's not actually me."
Yeah, I don't think it's a terrible move. We saw it last week. Things got heated. They got heated before Tribal came to a boiling point, and I've mentioned it in previous episodes. I think Tyler had done a great job previously keeping a level head, um, articulating himself well, and sometimes it just gets to a point and it boils over. So I think his previous actions say more than what happened to this past tribal. So I don't mind him going back and apologizing and saying, like, you guys know the real me. You saw how I've acted before. Sorry about that.
Yeah, and yeah, he was backed into a corner. He was. I won't say like I won't. I'm going to use the word provoked, but I don't think it was that extreme. But he was kind of provoked into a situation where he might react heavier than someone might react in that type of situation. But Jabbar does give a confessional where he basically says, "Yeah, Tyler did kind of have a tone." Um, and that's the third episode in a row where I'm like, yeah, I feel like I'm just agreeing with everything Jabbar says at this point. I feel like he's my proxy right now on that tribe, and I feel very optimistic for him moving forward because if he's talking like that to us as an audience, I feel like that's how he's talking to people out there. Um, because we don't get much time with this tribe in particular, what stood out to you in this? Because I have that, and I have Jordan saying, "Yeah, we need to win," and, and it doesn't start off too hot to begin, but by the time we get to the end of the episode, we've got an immunity win under our belts.
Absolutely. Jabbar just has such a good way of talking to the audience. He just comes off very authentic, like you're talking to him, you're having a conversation, and I think that's something that's helping him a lot in the game. Um, with all of the strategizing and thing that's happening on the Pink Tribe, the Luigi, because they've had to go to so many tribals, Jabbar is someone we've consistently heard his side and gotten his perspective, but we've also heard a lot of how other people feel about Jabbar, and everything we've heard has been very positive, and I think that bodes well for Jabbar moving forward. And that was really my big takeaway from the little we've got from Luigi this episode.
Yeah, and it's we've talked. I mean, even if we haven't talked about it with this specific series, I talk about it a lot when I talk about Survivor. Where it's like I felt like this episode was telegraphed to tell us, "Hey, they're actually going to win this challenge," and
Yes.
that's fine. And I was fine with that because it keeps you invested as far as like, okay, we know what tribe's probably going to win this challenge. Now we actually get to pay attention to the dynamic on this other one and like who are the front runners, who are the people that are being looked at as like cannon fodder, who are being looked at as potential threats and everything in between. So it made me excited going into the reward challenge. We randomly just kind of cut to, but
Yes.
we get to the reward challenge, and it's a challenge that I know that me and you have done in a live game. I have tiny arms and am short, so like I actively avoid doing this at all costs. Uh, it's the Survivor Gabon challenge. The only way I can phrase it. It's the Survivor Gabon challenge. How do you normally do in this? And did you have any suspicions of who was going to win it in this
I
one?
have two strategies. Both are ones that are really appreciated by the masses. One, we saw Jabbar do the good old I'm gonna toss mine super high and just bitch smack yours to the ground, hope yours hits first. Or, as you said, I also have very short arms, but I am very comparatively to my body. But I am very tall, so I have very long legs. So sometimes using my legs and trying to kick is better than me using my arms. Looking at the matchup, um, it would seem just like height wise, build that it looked like something Ethan would be better at, but Jabbar had the fire in him. And until he just dropped it himself in the third round, seemed to be anyone's game.
Yeah, I like I said, I'm not personally like I'm just against this challenge because as a short person with short arms, I feel like it's rigged against me. But the big thing about this is not only does Sam end up going to the altar, but I won't say there were words exchanged, but there was a moment after the challenge is over. What happened?
When they win the supply, they win their hammock and the pillows, and Lydia, who's I think quickly becoming my favorite player in the game, just makes her offhanded comment of, "Well, that's good because all they've been doing is sitting around all day." And it was perfect. Her little one-liners get me exactly the best one-liners. They get me every time. She is engaging, but she's also just so deadpan in her delivery, and it was lovely. We haven't gotten a lot of them interacting, even at these moments where they're together, so seeing some of the little back and forth start to brew was great.
Yeah, and I know that you pointed out, I think during the Amy boot that Amy had said that the other tribe did not like Sam, or that her
Yes.
tribe did not like Sam, and we get that a couple of times in this episode of signs that they might not be the biggest fan of her. But before we get to there, Sam does go to the altar, and because I mean, from where I'm sitting, from where we're sitting, it doesn't tell you exactly what the twist is going to be. It just gives you basically
Mhm.
keywords like this is what this is, but we're not going to tell you exactly what it is. So what were your thoughts on her reads of it? Because I don't remember which one it was, but it was like she she didn't want to go to the other tribe because they don't like her,
She didn't pick
and
charisma.
yeah,
Yes.
she doesn't want to go to the tribe because they don't like her, which is the first time that we've seen her acknowledge that.
Yes.
Um, do you think that they were kind of spot on as far as like her perceptions of what each one was?
Her read on charisma was definitely not mine. I see that more as having to win your tribe over, like something that similarly we saw in, I'm gonna say it, sorry, Island of the Idols, where had to convince your tribe to be the caller or do this specific part of the challenge.
Yeah,
That's what I interpreted it, but I liked her line of thinking there. I also mentioned last episode, I believe, or the one before, I would not choose fate, especially given the landscape of Survivor. But knowing what we know about last episode, we already saw Ben lose his vote doing something else. I think her taking that leap and picking fate there was not a bad option, knowing that that was kind of off the table with what happened last episode. So I like the decision she ended up making.
and I agree with you on there, and I agree with her on the amount of time she did the challenge because I mean that's a lot. There's a lot riding on.
Yes,
I mean the worst case scenario is you just don't get an idol. But I feel like I would do 2 to 3 flips. Like I don't
absolutely.
think that I had the testicular fortitude to go past a third. Like it's and watching her contemplate. And I don't know how like in real time how long it took for her to decide how like if she was gonna flip that second one. But as I sat there watching, I'm like, oh man, like stop. I'm like actually talking to my TV because yeah, that's a high pressure situation. In a situation like whole that you're in a decent spot because you guys are winning,
Mhm.
but you want to have this thing because as Daniel brings up during tribal, everyone thinks there's going to be a swap coming soon or a merge coming soon or something else coming soon. So you just because you're in a good spot here, her saying they don't like me means okay, well if we do swap or we do merge,
Absolutely.
I need to have something. And so yeah, you go for that second or you go for that third, just to keep yourself safe longer. And I'm glad that she called it quits before she needed or before something bad happened, I guess.
Absolutely.
So we get back. Okay, so I didn't want to rewind it because I was just trying to get to the episode. Did someone refer to Sam as the loud girl?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And that starts a fun little montage, I guess. It reminds me of Robin Marquesas, where he's just listing off everybody that's on
Yep.
the Road to Tribe. But out here,
Da David
it's
Jeans.
yeah, oh yeah. Well,
Jean
before we get to jeans, we've got Pitts, we've got Beard, we've got Bucket Hat, Australian,
and Australia.
Jeans, and then Knots and Ropes, I think it was,
Yes.
and the Loud Girl. So we're missing someone there.
Nope. We're missing
We're missing because that's one, two, three,
Barton.
four. Oh, I don't know. I don't know if they gave. I don't think there was a nickname given there. But no, it was a fun. It was a fun little quick scene that I do. That like if I would go back and watch anything from this episode, it's probably going to be that because David and his jeans are introduced as the main character of this episode, and I'm glad that I wasn't the only one to point out this dude has on jeans. But honestly, spoilers. I really enjoyed David in this episode because we
Yes.
get a lot of we get a lot of content from a lot of them, and that's because what is inevitably going to happen. But I wrote, I wrote down in my notes. David Jeans thinks it may be him. I really like him. I want to be friends with David. Spoilers. I like everything that he did in this episode. It's like that is so wholesome, and I also understand why people are so sketched out by everything that's happening here. Into the challenge. First of all, going to the challenge, do you think that there was any way that they were going to potentially lose the challenge? But two, if they do lose, did you think that David was going to be that first name on the chopping block?
I definitely did. I think it's hard when 3 episodes we've gotten so much Lewicki content because we've had to set up these boots. And unfortunately, that means relationships, dynamics, um, strategy-wise have just been really underdeveloped on Capoe. There's just only so much time in an episode. So when we spent more time with them today, we started hearing more about dynamics pre-tribal, who's close to who. We learned about a couple different relationships. It made me think that one, they're going to tribal, and two, a little bit of the David setup that happened before the challenge would um, be something that would come up after as well.
The other interesting dynamic that this gets, and everyone that knows what Chekhov's gun is, if you don't know what
Yes.
Chekhov's gun is, look it up. The other big thing that happens here is Ethan and Ben get clocked, and it doesn't play a big narrative in this episode, but I'm feeling like because we're being told that they've been clocked, that's going to be something that comes back later. Hence Chekhov's gun. Hence Chekhov's alliance, Chekhov's duo. The fact that we get content where people are saying, "Oh man, these two might be close,"
Mhm.
and I think it was Colin.
Yes, it was Barton. I wrote it down. I said Barton Winter confessional. I thought his confessional he had there, and he had another one later on, but that one was so perfect. I might not be in these conversations, but I'm always there. I'm always listening to you. I'm always watching. I know exactly what's going on, even if you don't think I do. Thought it was
Yeah,
great. I thought it was a good confessional, hopefully setting up more of him moving down further into the
I
game.
I agree. I agree. And so Sam gets back from the altar and tells everyone, "Hey, this is exactly how it went down." Also, Ben was telling the whole truth. Well, I don't know if he's telling the whole truth about everything, but Ben is definitely telling the truth about the altar. I'm like, shut up, shut up, shut up. But Ben's definitely telling the truth about the altar. And Sam tells, "Hey, I've got a temporary idol. It lasts for 2 rounds. Everyone's gonna sit home and think that I'm stupid for doing this, but I don't care." And I don't think it's stupid. I I wish that she had, I mean, she might, but I wish she had someone or some people that she could have just told individually instead of telling everyone, because I don't trust
I
everyone
agree.
there. But you got to do what you got to do, and especially going into a situation where you might swap.
Yes, I definitely agree with you in theory, especially because she had mentioned on earlier in the episode that the people that she went to um the duel with, which was it's Kira and Ethan. She said they're working. She's like, I'm working well with the two of them. We get along great. So it looks like even though we haven't seen them, people have had those strategic conversations. Looks like some alliances there are forming. But I also get some hesitation of telling in small groups, especially when you haven't gone to tribal, because you don't know where everyone stands yet. You can have those conversations as best as possible, but you don't really know where people stand until you go for the first time.
And I mean, shit, spoilers. But we do get that situation. Uh, so something that, I mean, and it's we get to the immunity challenge. We'll go to the immunity challenge first. And lo and behold, oh, okay, energy wise, I think towards the end of the challenge, because I sat there in the beginning, I'm like, why doesn't everyone just drop and just everyone just
Drop
one
one, yep.
hand and just tough it out like that? Just to conserve energy, because I think the challenge goes what, like 45 minutes. I might.
It yeah, it would I would think they were 50 minutes at some point, and then there were still, like, 3 on each side, so it went a
Okay.
while.
Um, I feel like I would say like, hey, let's just everyone just drop one and we'll just chill here like this with our
Yep.
dominant hand. If we can, we could do dominant hands or whatever. But it was close, and I think this is where the episode really picks up for me, because this
Mhm.
is this is a challenge that I would enjoy watching. 75. Okay. This is a challenge that I would enjoy watching, and this is a challenge that I would enjoy doing, because it is a matter of willpower, but also at a certain point, it is a matter of, how weak or strong is your body to do this. And
Mhm.
I feel like I would last about 45 minutes. I would drop after that,
Yeah.
and we'd be screwed. Um,
I'd be like David in his jeans dropping after, like,
oh my
15.
god, it's and jumping the gun a little bit, but it's like, oh man, I feel like they're just telling us that David and his jeans are getting voted out in this episode, and that did not help because he was the first person to drop the challenge. But I'm like, maybe, and there is something that happens later in the episode that leads me to believe that, okay, maybe this doesn't actually happen, which is
Mhm.
would be great for me. Um, but inevitably, our underdogs are able to pull out a win in the end, and they get immunity the first time with 6 tribe mates left, I believe. And they can fuck off for a week, and we are
I miss them.
introduced. Huh?
Said I miss them. We spent so much time with them
We spent so much time over the last 3 weeks.
over the
Uh,
last
and
3
we're
episodes. I felt like withdrawal a little bit.
we're introduced to basic. Okay, so the first half of this is, okay, yeah, we're voting on David and his jeans. David's got to go because of there's the idol hunt, and he's basically just asking everyone, "Have you found it? Have you found it? Have you found it?" And everyone's starting to get, oh, he's not contributing to stuff at camp, and it's like, I mean, I don't know how much contributions go into their camps right now, so I can't speak to that. But it does become very apparent, like, okay, David's name is going to be
Mhm.
at least the first name that we hear. And then Josh's name gets brought up as he misses his family, misses his kids, I believe. I think it was plural.
Yes.
And his name potentially gets brought up as not only a decoy, but potentially a real name. Now, in this situation, I'm like, wow, okay, maybe this is a fun little editing trick. The first half, we're just going to say it's David and his genes, but in reality, it's actually going to be Josh, and we're all going to be hoodwinked at the end of the episode, which would have been amazing. And then David and his genes tells a group of 4 or 5, just use my name as the decoy, which I get. I get it, especially if you trust people.
Yes.
Just do it. How do you think about the way that he navigated this? Because we don't really get to see how Josh really navigated this. We only really get to see it from David's perspective, a little bit from Ben, a little bit from Sam, a couple others, but we really don't get Josh's perspective on this. What were your thoughts on how David navigated this?
Again, in theory, I understand it. Saying, good way to build trust, saying, I trust you guys enough that this is the vote. You can use my name to him if you want. I get it. But again, it's the first vote that you guys have. Everyone's just hoping it's not them. So even if you're saying it's a decoy, you're still in some way offering yourself up. You're still saying, you can say my name. To him, it's fake, but you can put my name out there. And once your name is out there, whether it starts as a decoy or not, it's hard to pivot away from that. It really is. So I didn't like the move from David. Again, I understand it in theory, but it's just too hard.
Yeah, and especially because the way that the scene is shown, we see a moment where it's talked about that Josh misses his family and everything. It's like, oh man, maybe we're going this way. And then immediately cuts to David saying, oh yeah, just use me as a decoy. It's like, okay, so maybe we're back here again. Maybe this, once again, it could just be an elaborate ploy to trick the audience, which is fine. Like if we get tricked, this is the episode that I need to be tricked because I need David to survive. So then David gets compared to Banu. I took offense to.
I
As
also took offense to that.
So on a different channel, when I did my 46 seasons, 46 days marathon, I live streamed the last day. So I live streamed all of season 46.
Mhm.
And because I had to start earlier in the day, it started like 8 a.m. because season 46 is 15 and a half hours long. For about 4.5 hours, I had to go through a bunch of Banu. And I just remember being on camera, just saying how much I was hating my time watching Banu for those 4.5 hours. Now, in retrospect, Banu's not really that bad. I think it was just I was just going through survivor fatigue, and I really didn't want to have to deal with Banu for 4.5 hours. I didn't get Banu vibes from David at all. At all. If you had to compare him to someone,
oh gosh,
I mean, it's hard.
He is Keith from Edge of Extinction. He's Keith from Edge of Extinction.
I've interviewed Keith on a couple of occasions. Yes.
Much better comparison. That is not comparable at all.
Is it because he's black?
What?
I said because he's black.
Yes, because he's black. No,
black.
but Banu and David was not comparable at all. And I took offense to it for David. I was offended for him.
That one came out of nowhere. And I guess when they would have filmed this, Banu's season would have just ended. So that is fresh in people's heads. So
we had a Jolinsky reference the first episode. Yeah, we had Banu here. It's top of mind. I get it.
I get why that would be fresh, but because usually if people can compare to others, I'll say, oh yeah, I can see where you're coming from. With the Banu comparison, it's like I don't get that one at all. I was almost hoping that David would find out his name was out there just to see him get on his knees and ask someone to keep him. Because then I'd be like, okay, yeah, that's Banu right there. That's Banu. We're told that David is neurotic and all that, but like I don't really see that. And okay, so I mean, I was very nervous. Well, it was very nervous days. I wanted to, and I constantly felt, and I talk about not feeling good enough. Okay, so and like you said earlier, because we didn't get enough time with this tribe, maybe he was actually Banu 2.0. But from what we have seen, it was like, wow, that's a weird comparison. But from the mouth of babes, if you were like Banu, then you were like Banu.
From the horse's mouth.
From the mouth of babe, from the horse's mouth, either one. You've never heard mouth of babes? You've never heard mouth of babes? Okay.
Oh my time.
So we get to tribal, and Ben says that this is team transparency, which would have been a great episode title.
The love tribe, baby. It's the love tribe.
I agree with them, though. I agree that this is team transparency. And I mean, we'll see how that bites people in the ass moving forward, because I don't see all of them sticking together, because that's crazy. But I'm curious to see if there's ever a moment, like maybe the beginning of the next episode, someone finds something and doesn't tell anyone.
But we've already seen that happen. We've seen it where Ethan found the extra vote, gave it back to Ben, solidifying something even further. So, again, surface, love tribe, team transparency. But once these things come out, and they always do, that's when things start to deteriorate.
Yeah. And I feel like that might be coming soon.
Yes.
We'll see. Is there any moment during this tribal that you think maybe we get the genes for another week and maybe Josh will go? Or did you think it's GG's? GG's for the genes.
Sadly, I felt like it was GG for the genes. I think when David started going on his monologue during his question at tribal about not hearing names, being nervous, you kind of just, even though the camera's really like focused on him, you see the faces of the people sitting around him and just like pure confusion.
Throw him under the bus. Kara's like, oh, you told me.
Tinge of annoyance, and sadly knew then and there for sure no more genes on the island.
So I'm with you. Like I thought, yeah, it's probably gonna be David. Until 2 votes Josh happened, and I actually screamed, "Shut the fuck up!" Like,
Yeah.
This isn't real. And then obviously the rest of the votes go David. But I honestly thought that they had actually fooled us, and that it was actually going to be Josh. I'm like, Josh didn't really got caught. So David was the main character here, and if this is just one big red herring, and David is the one that stays and Josh is the one that goes, you got us. Because 2 votes Josh really screwed me up. And then finding out that it was Kayla that voted Josh also confused me, because Kayla wasn't the one giving the confessional about.
We had seen Kayla earlier approach someone and say, yeah, usually when people are lying, they'll ask a lot of questions about it. Like when she was the one who brought up, when we were looking for that advantage, he kept asking, did you find it? Did you find it? Did you find it? So I don't know if it was a hinky, if it was more of a pity vote situation, just another thrown vote in case of an idol. I don't know the situation. I'm hoping we get a little bit more at the beginning of next episode, because based on what we got, that vote was completely out of left field.
And what scares me is because Kayla doesn't, she's said it, I think, in every episode, she doesn't know Survivor. My fear is she's not going to try to lie about it.
Agreed.
She might tell people, yeah, that was me. That was me. That scares me, because I really like Kayla. Like she's on my list of people that I would like to do well And I mean, it's not
Great.
like my list of people that I don't want to do well as a long list, but like it does exist.
Everyone who voted David.
Everyone who voted David is now on my shit list. No, I'm kidding. Because I mean, you can tell that Sam feels bad about it. Like she gives a confession where it's like, yeah, I
None of these people wanted to vote out David. No, this was
well,
not like it was in Lewicki where there's been fighting left
yeah,
and right. None of these people enjoyed that vote, and you could tell.
yeah. He's sick. Like I said in my notes, David is Jeans thinks it may be him. I really like him. I want to be friends with David. And that is, yeah, he brings up, hey, I feel like it's going to be me. And Daniel gets, there's like, well, because David says, I haven't heard any names. Daniel goes, I've never heard this before. That's crazy. Like, what's going on here? And then Kira throws him under the bus and says, oh, you told me a name, David. And once again, it's like, okay, all of this is kind of just telling us it's going to be David, and then the two voice Josh happen. David's final words are kind of what I expected. And I valued my time with him and his Jeans in 4 episodes. I'll never forget the covering the cardio challenge and it's like this dude is running in jeans in 200-degree weather, but props
And then
to him.
everyone else is passing out, and David, he's killing it in the jeans.
This is the type of players that I love to recruit. You can run in jeans, then we're good. Final thoughts on David and his jeans.
Like you said, seems like a sweetheart. You could tell he really was into the game, enjoyed being out there. I'm sad his time got cut short. I don't know his experience in LRGs, but hope I see him in more because I really enjoyed his personality. Wish I got to shine through a bit more.
As far as the episode is concerned, I feel like this was kind of the calm before the storm.
Agreed.
I think that it was only this one so far. David, keep doing your thing.
So far.
Keep doing your thing. I'll suggest shorts, but like you could make your trademark the jeans. And that I know that
you should go a whole jout, like a whole jean outfit. Come on.
A whole joutfit.
I'm telling you.
Because they need POCs anyway. So if you're a POC with like a brand and the brand
rocking the Canadian tuxedo, I'm telling you.
But yeah, I did feel like this was kind of a calm before the storm episode. The season kind of needs that. We can't just keep doing this that way. We can't keep going to that. We have to like peak for a second. I'm not doing that, but we gotta do this. We gotta coast for a couple of episodes, and I feel like even in this episode, we got enough content where we're still entertained. We're still being shocked by things that are happening.
I hope a swap is coming. We're at 14. We could swap 7-7-7 and keep it interesting. I think we've had developments of alliances on both sides. We know where the dynamics are, and I want to see them shaken up. I've been saying it for like 3 weeks now, and I'm ready.
We're ready to the point where we might not even swap.
I know.
Which is, I'm fine with it. Like you don't need it every time, and especially with the dynamics that we have, man. Especially with the dynamics that we have, at this point, I would rather than just all end up together and just because we have so many storylines going into it anyway that we don't really need a swap. I would rather than just stay on these tribes for one more round or 2 more rounds or whatever it is, and then merge because we would have a potential duo with public knowledge only has 1 vote, but in reality you have 2. We have this whole thing where one tribe doesn't like a specific person on another tribe. We've got an idol that is going to last at least 1 more round at this point. We've got the Tyler of it all. There's a lot of things happening here that I feel like a swap could potentially screw up. And I just want all these storylines to just collide together at a merge, and then we kind of just go from there. And
That's fair.
you mentioned earlier that someone gave a winner's confessional. I'm still sticking with Sam for me, but I also understand that right now it doesn't look like. I hope that she
Stick
can
to your
navigate her.
guns.
Huh?
Stick to your guns.
No, I'm not. Oh, I'm not swapping. I'm not swapping. I lost Bianca in Real
Neither
Survivor
are
last
they.
week.
So it
Yeah,
works.
I lost Bianca last week in Real Survivor, and that's the only time I switched. So yeah, I'm sticking with Sam, and I hope that she can make it through these crazy folks not liking her for random reasons. But anyway, we will be back next week around this time, around this day. And I appreciate everyone continuing to tune in. Make sure to subscribe to the Live Reality Games on all the social medias and the YouTubes. Yeah, we will see you guys next week.